Hi, I'm Hector Bremner, CEO of Avricore Health. Today, I'm going to walk you through a quick presentation and give you a great update on how Avricore has been growing by placing more of its point of care testing platforms within community pharmacies in Canada and internationally. But first, let's start walking you through a little bit of what we do and also give you an update at the end about our most recent year and financials. So again, Avricore Health has a platform called HealthTab. We are trying to address the fact that healthcare needs new tools, and it needs those tools in places to address that can properly address rather the issue of chronic disease. Chronic disease is really the underlying factor for most healthcare cost increases. We're living longer, but we also are a bit sicker, and we have higher expectations. Pharmacy has been transforming and doing a fantastic job to meet this demand. Many of you would have received healthcare during the pandemic at a pharmacy where you may have typically received it with your GP. But the pharmacy is a fantastic access place because if you live in a rural community or if you live somewhere that are sometimes described as healthcare deserts where you don't have easy access to a physician, the pharmacist is really best able to fill that void. They have the training and they've just been underutilized. So with better technology and better support from policymakers, they have been getting an expanded scope of practice, which means they can do more and fill the gaps that people have been needing from their family doctor. And if they could even access one, they've been able to get it now from their pharmacist. So point of care testing is really at the end of the day what we're trying to deliver. Of course, many people who live with diabetes do point of care testing all the time. They're watching their glucose levels. Obviously, point of care, everybody had crash courses on what point of care testing is during the pandemic as they learned all about the various types of tests available. But when it comes to chronic disease, point of care access is the best way to approach the screening and management of the disease. And that's why it's one of the fastest growing health technologies on earth today. Patients are already using data through services that they can procure over the internet. They're obviously using apps on their phone, whether it's your Fitbit or your Apple Watch. But the reality is that patients also, over and above the lack of access of care, they have changing demands of care, and they want to be able to get information, hard data, and use that evidence-based approach in their care. So we're working to grow the largest pharmacy network of point-of-care testing and analyzers on the planet. They're cloud connected, producing real-time results for both patients, providers, and other interested parties, whether it is clinical trials or government health researchers looking to better allocate resources, or even drug makers and other healthcare technology companies that are needing data to feed their AI programs to better serve patients. But the patient provides their consent, they create their account, they enter a customized health survey, which is then placed against the lab results, lab accurate results rather, from the instrument that we have on site. That is merged in the cloud. A personalized report is produced that is easy to understand, both for the patient and for the provider, and as well as de-identified information, and that sort of larger metadata is fed into other data lakes in order to power other programs that enhance the healthcare outcomes of both the system and the individual. Currently, we're offering approximately 23 biomarkers, but largely we're focused on cholesterol and a total lipid panel to determine risks associated to heart disease, and HbA1c, which is focused on diabetes. Diabetes and heart disease are two of the biggest challenges that we face today in healthcare, and there's lots of weird and wonderful things out there, but to invest money in healthcare technologies and solutions for it. But these two have been overlooked for too long, and it is driving too many unnecessary ER visits, filling up acute care beds, and quite frankly, a drag on the economy as people are worried about the chronic outcomes of their family members as they are just crushed by these very common diseases. So we've really proud to partner with Abbott, one of the largest companies and most successful companies in this space, as they have a great menu of devices that we can integrate into HealthTab. They are trusted, approved, widely used in just about every jurisdiction, and they have the supply chain that we can rely on. That as we scale, we know that they can meet the demand, but also they have the general support in any particular jurisdiction for their instruments, which is a really unique advantage. We are also doing something very interesting, and we're launching this as we speak, as this is recorded, the first connection to a near-to-patient instrument, and that is the Contour Next-Gen blood glucose meter. This is going to mean that information is going to be fed into the HealthTab and into the pharmacy systems when the patient is not physically there. So when they are receiving their next consultation related to their diabetes with their pharmacist, the pharmacist can see how they were doing in between those visits. And this is really exciting. And we think that there's also a future for connections with Apple Health and Google Health and a variety of other players that are very interested in breaking down the silos of health data. The OECD says that health data is one of the largest growing areas of data. However, only 3% of it is actually used, largely because of these silos that I mentioned. But we're really committed to being collaborative with across a spectrum of different players. And this is a great example of how we can break down those silos and how we can better utilize this glucose data that the patient is generating every day and bring it into a space where it's much more powerful. Currently, we're in about 800 pharmacies and growing. It's getting closer to 1,000 now in Canada. We expect to be at approximately 1,200 in the country this year and beyond. But we are also seeing a very rapid demand, not only in Canada, but in Great Britain, where we are also currently expanding into. And speaking of Great Britain, we're really proud to partner with Bart's NHS Trust and the Bart's Heart Centre and Heart UK, as they have chosen HealthTab to engage in a feasibility study building off the Pharmacy First program in Britain, which is a very progressive, very exciting investment into community health in the community pharmacy. What they're doing is they've invested already approximately £700 million in bringing in more blood pressure checks, screenings, expanded scope of practice, and other ways that increase of access to care, particularly around chronic disease and the management of it, into the community pharmacy. They're really leading the way, and the last data that I've heard was that they're doing up to 180,000 blood pressure checks a month in community pharmacies and across approximately 6,000 locations. If HealthTab is able to capture even just a fraction of the follow-up on that, we're going to be doing very well. So we're very bullish on Britain. We're very excited about the feasibility study. We just launched QRisk, which is a very complex but very progressive. It is definitely the gold standard in interpretation of the heart disease risk in a particular individual. Right now, only really Britain is using this, but as HealthTab is now the only platform to offer this interpretation of the data, we have a unique advantage in that country. But as it's adopted in other countries, we'll be able to move very quickly, far quicker than anybody else. Very exciting development. We've had great support from our partners. We're really unique globally. There's nobody else doing exactly what we're doing. There's people that do parts of what we do, and there's people that try and fail to do other parts, but we're really proud and we're very adamant that we are the leader in this space. We're the first to the market and to focus on dedicated point of care testing for pharmacy. We integrate easily. We are the only external quality control program operating point of care testing program. We use one of only 5 labs on the planet approved by the CDC to do such work. We're very pharmacy focused, as I mentioned, and that allows us to be not only experts in this space, but we don't get distracted. So we're not trying to be everything to everyone. We're really in the center of that Venn diagram of being very passionate about what we do. We're the best in the world at it. And of course, you can make money. So we're really in a great sweet spot when we focus on pharmacy. And by harmonizing data, we become more patient-centered. We're breaking down the silos, and we're going to be a major contributing factor as to that point mentioned before around how health data is being generated in massive amounts, but not really utilized. but we're bringing some really powerful bridges together and bringing some technologies of the patient and the practitioner together in a unique way. And the results are starting to really show. We started with a simple diabetes management program at Shoppers Drug Mart, Canada's largest pharmacy group. We are also expanding now and with them continuously into the grocery side as well. But we're also building off the success of a program where patients have really had a powerful experience. 80% of patients said that they had a better opinion of the pharmacy after experiencing Health Tab. 60% of patients had a need for a direct intervention, and 235 patients in the initial cohort that we tested of 7,000 patients were undiagnosed diabetics. And we're hearing updated numbers all the time from our clients. And what we're hearing is that, of the people that are diagnosed with previously undiagnosed chronic disease utilizing Health Tab in the pharmacy, 70% of those individuals do not have do have a family doctor. So that statistic is quite shocking. If you have a family doctor, you would think that you would be on top of your chronic disease risk. But the truth is that the healthcare system as it's built today is not really built to be so much about healthcare as it is disease care. How many of us have been told by a physician, does it hurt? Well, then you're fine. Well, the reality is that there's a lot of folks out there that are sick, and it's an acquired disease. That heart attack could have been preventable, or that need to be on dialysis could have been preventable. But we need to catch things early. We need to act now. And the data is very clear. When 31% of people need a new chronic medication, there is a real breakdown in the healthcare system, and the pharmacy and point of care testing can solve it with Health Tab. So building off the success of the initial launch with Shoppers Drug Mart, they have invested, and other pharmacy chains are investing significantly in the pharmacy walk-in clinic. And Rexall, our latest banner to join as another great corporate player, they have both been moving into this space given the environment is changing rapidly in Canada and abroad. As the pharmacy scope of practice means that pharmacists are able to do more. They're able to fill that role that people need for that, general maintenance of healthcare. And this is only being enhanced. So a case in point would be the recent announcement by a province in Canada, where they, in January of 2025, chronic disease prescribing is coming to pharmacy for the first time. This is a major breakthrough and is fantastic for us as a company because Health Tab will be utilized in identifying people in that process of initiating a prescription and diagnosing and managing that individual. So this is the type of momentum we've been hoping to see for some time within the healthcare space. And we feel that we're meeting a moment that is very exciting as the pharmacy sector is being disrupted. Very similar, I often describe it to how the taxi cab industry was disrupted by Uber and Lyft, or hospitality was and tourism was disrupted by things like Airbnb. The reality is that the pharmacy that you knew, where they simply filled prescription bottles, is much more of a care access point now, much more focused on the deployment of modern technologies, from AI to digital health tools like Health Tab. And we are now very excited to see that this reality, or this dream, is becoming a reality. And the reason why these decisions are being made is really clear. People are sick and they're not getting the support. And the data is very clear that if you invest in preventative care, you're decreasing the expenditures on acute care. And that acute care cost is one of the fastest driving costs. And of course, it's related to chronic disease. And we need to keep people out of acute care beds. We need to keep people out of emergency rooms. And it's simple to do. And it's easy to do when you have a pharmacy that is empowered by right of scope with some funding and proper tools like Health Tab. They can keep people at home, productive with their families, living in their communities, and living better lives. And it's as simple as a quick little 10-minute test and a consultation with your pharmacist. And so there is an inordinate amount of research that has been done on this, and it backs up our assumptions. And we're very excited that, as I say, that governments are finally catching up with us, and people are beginning to now see what we've been saying. And frankly, our data is playing a large role. And so to that end, we have been growing. In 2023, our revenues closed out at just under 3.5 million Canadian, and our gross profit, which was a 97% increase over the year previous, our gross profit also increased by 163% to 1.2 million. So we're very excited that we've been able to grow rapidly. We've been able to invest through cash on hand and cash flow in ourselves in a non-dilutive way. We haven't had to take on debt. We run a tight ship, so we do not believe in buying the business, as they say. We're not ramping up expenditures in order to capture new dollars. We're demonstrating that we can grow sustainably. We can do so in a way that is profitable. We believe that we will be in the black in the not too distant future here. We're trending definitely in the right direction. And we're accomplishing that because we're growing with our existing customers. We're adding new customers. With markets like Britain, we think that a real hockey stick opportunity is right in front of us there. We have other international markets that are reaching out and are very keen to work with us. And certainly the reputation of HealthTab and our company as a whole is starting to travel around as the go-to solution. So we think that we're a very exciting opportunity. We hope that you think we're an exciting opportunity. And you'll be able to reach out to me anytime at hector.bremner@avricorehealth.com. Thanks so much for your time.